In this video, you're going to learn how to make your very own DIY kits. These are great for Christmas presents, if you have your own business and you want to sell them. So the first thing I do after I bake my cookies is I make sure to get off any of the uneven edges as the cookie can spread out a little. I want sharp lines. So I have an X-Acto knife that I use solely for my cookies. Next, I take my heat sealer. I have the heat sealer bags, and I get as close as possible to the cookie, and I press down. That way it has a close, thick seal, and sometimes I'll do it twice. Sometimes when I use the heat seal, it'll create the bag to go open. So that's why I'm doing it multiple times, and then I cut off the excess bags and I get as close as possible to the edge without opening up the bag. We really want a tight seal all the way around to make sure no air gets in. And if you need to, you can kind of use the heat sealer again. And now I have a heat gun, and carefully I start at the edges, kind of get that seal going before I go all the way around in the middle. And then on the back, smooth everything out, get it as creaseless as possible. Make sure that it keeps the cookies compact, and then they get fresh too. Next, I make my icing, and I like to get the Christmas red, a deep, bright red. You can use, of course, as much or as little icing as you like. And then I want to get it to about a 5-second consistency. So I use a spray bottle, and I'm kind of doing a figure 8, and it's still fairly thick. So I'm thinning down the icing and stirring it to make sure that it pours nice and smooth and it's the consistency that I want. So it can be kind of a hybrid flood and piping icing for my customers who buy my DIY kits. So another spray, and then do another test, and then it's about a 5-second icing. So I'm happy with that. So with my DIY kits, I measure out everything. I have a food scale that I use. So I have every box that's consistent so that I can have enough supplies and ingredients for every box. So for my icing bags, I usually do 3 or 4 icing bags per DIY kit. It just depends on how many cookies are inside. If I do a dozen cookies, I usually do about 4 bags. If I do half a dozen cookies, I'll do about 3 bags. So I do 80 grams of icing, and that's plenty to use for 6 to 12 cookies, since I'll have 3 to 4 icing bags. And then after, I tie a knot, make sure it's still malleable, so that way customers can move it around. If the icing color separates, which is totally normal, the icing color can separate from the royal icing, but just a quick massage will bring it back to normal, and then I cut off the end. Here I am measuring out sprinkles. I include 3 tubs of sprinkles per DIY box, and I do about 20 to 25 grams of sprinkles, and sprinkles differ, so some are heavier than others, so if it's pretty half full, it's good. Here I have a pie box that I like to use, so I start with crinkle paper, getting that in. Spread out evenly and not too thick, because the cookies do take up a good amount of space. And then I include a thank you note with a stirrer, a mini spoon, a bag for the cookies, and a twist tie. Next, I put in my sprinkles and I stack them in the middle, and then I arrange the cookies. So this box can do 12. 6 is better. It gets kind of tight when there's 12, but for this I did 12, and it was fine. I just had to rearrange a little bit to make sure they all fit in snug, but they do fit. And then after I kind of get them all arranged so that they pretty much can be seen, and then I add in the icing bags and I try to stack them as best as possible so that they can also be seen in the window of the pie bag. And then lastly, the DIY cookie kit instructions go inside, and then I close the box, and then I tape it shut, but not before I include my logo. I made these just on Canva. I ordered stickers, and for my logo, I hired someone on Fiverr to make it. And then this is my ingredients list. So for my Class A permit, my cottage food operator permit, I have to disclose the ingredients anytime I sell my cookies. So this works great because I can use it as a closing for my box and display the ingredients list too. So there you have it. They're very easy to do. They're very popular. And let me know if you have any questions. Thanks for watching. Bye.